make this take any longer than it needs to. Welcome back to All Chat, episode 20 now.
The
Is that
big
where we're at?
2-0.
Is that where we are?
I think so.
That's
Wait,
crazy.
is it 20?
Welcome. Yeah, I think you're right.
Wow.
That means, we've been doing this for, what, six and a half months now.
Yeah.
So
Since
I guess
this,
that,
like mid-January.
so maybe, I think you're right. So maybe about 6 months. Something like
Yeah. That's
Take a couple
crazy.
weeks off.
It doesn't
Crazy.
feel like it's been 6 months.
No. It's flown by, really.
The fact that we're already over halfway through the league season and we're into, the next half of it. Like all the
Yeah.
leagues are going now.
Oh,
So
man.
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how far along we've come with this.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
Finished MSI. Now we just have Worlds to look forward to.
I know.
And in all of that, there's one constant, and it's that LEC is a one-player region. Shout out, Cal.
I mean, I feel like we've been known that.
They'll never beat the allegations. That's all I'm saying.
I haven't seen much LEC. I'm gonna be honest. Did G2 actually bounce back this week?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch that much either. I kind of had a busy weekend, and I spent most of the time that I had watching LCS.
Okay.
We got the new best of 3 format.
Yeah.
But we could run through LEC real quick if you want.
I think we can just go through the standings and stuff really quick, just because I don't think either of us really watched too much of the LEC.
Yeah,
but we kind of I feel like we've seen so much of the LEC, we kind of already know how it's gonna play out in the very end.
Dude, I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna take a little victory lap and say it's coming out exactly how I thought it was gonna come out. There was some craziness in the first week, but now our top 4 are Fnatic, SK, BDS, and G2. The one thing that I'll give SK credit for is that they are still up at the top. I thought that they were gonna win 3 games and then just completely lose for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But they went 1-1 to their credit, so
they did beat BDS.
Yeah,
and their loss was against Fnatic, which is a respectable loss, right?
We take those.
It looks like BDS is kind of rolling though, huh?
I think this is what they're regular season merchants, bro.
They are, yeah, that's true.
They just top the regular season. They've actually, they're just kind of like a top 3 team in Europe usually, right? Like this year.
Yeah. Even last year they weren't bad. They weren't amazing. They didn't obviously they made Worlds, right?
Yeah.
So gotta give them credit where credit's due, but
yeah,
I feel like it's always just G2 and Fnatic, which we've been saying for the last 6 months, it's just G2 and Fnatic. We had that weird stint where Mad Koi was in the mix and
just randomly one of the best.
Yeah, and that kind of looking back at the draft that we did, the fact that I have Alvaro and Ilyoya, right. I'm like, I don't know. Yes. I don't know if those are the right picks. At least you had Mickey and you had did you have BB? Or no,
you had
Yike. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's just the plan all along. Just go with the players that I won't be embarrassed with in 6 months.
Yeah. 6 months later, I'm looking at my team. I'm happy that I had Pays, but at the end of the day, Mad Koi is not looking too hot right now.
No, they're terrible now. They're
bad. They lost to Giant X, and who else did they play? They lost to Vitality. So
it's not a great look.
Yeah, the fact that those guys were in the finals. I guess that was the really weird one though, with BDS and Adam, huh?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was back in the first split. That's so weird.
Yeah,
man, LEC is so weird. Whatever.
LEC is so weird. Anyways. Basically, G2's just the best. Fnatic is up there. BDS is up there. SK's up there.
They're up there because of their bot lane. This is everything that I'm hearing is that SK bot lane is actually just rolling everyone.
Really?
Out their bot lane, they'd just be 0-5. So I guess SK's bot lane are just the GOATs. But Carmine Corp, they were 2-1. Now they're 2-3. Exactly like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended the split with Fnatic, BDS, G2, SK top 4, and then like Team Heretics, Vitality right underneath it, and then Carmine Corp, Giant X, Rogue, Mad Lions in bottom 4, which is pretty much how it goes every split.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm starting to see some parallels here from the other splits.
oh, are you? Yeah.
Yeah. Except the only difference is Casey is doing a little bit better this time around. But
I don't have faith in them to end up. But I mean, to their credit, they might not be 10th this split.
yeah,
I'll say they still could be. It's still completely up for grabs. It's not without reason that they could go 10th, but I think that they won't be 10th. So they'll do a little bit better than the last 2 splits.
Okay. Kana makes that much of a difference. Kana and
Closer.
Who else do they? And Closer. Yeah.
I think that they have to beat 2 and 7 this split to do better.
Okay.
I think the last 2 splits they were 2 and 7. So if they can avoid losing all 4 of their last 4 games, then they'll do better than their other splits.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like the LEC kind of just goes how everyone thinks it's going to go every time. That's the one thing I've noticed so far.
Yeah.
Why don't we get into the LCS here a little bit? Because you said you got to see that a little more. I even tuned into some of those games.
Let's go. Yeah, the
kind
LEC
of a banger weekend.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the LEC isn't really that interesting until playoffs, I think. So we'll just But yeah,
we'll just
LCS
speed run LEC.
It's a banger.
I love it. It's so much better.
Good. Isn't it?
So much better.
It's so nice to watch.
Yeah, I mean, at least on the first day, we got 2 full best of 3s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was Dignitas came out. You know, that I thought they looked pretty good. Cloud9 looked a lot better than last split as well.
So I don't know if you remember this from one of our past podcasts, but when Dignitas beat Cloud9 in that first game, that's the first time Dignitas has taken a game off of Cloud9 in 7 years. They were 0-20 against them before that.
Start planning the parade. Holy.
They still lost the series, but they took a game.
I know.
Which no other Dig team for 7 years has been able to do. So
yeah, to be fair, it's like Cloud9's B team, right? But
it's C9 and D9. So
yeah. I thought they looked pretty good, you know, considering how recently that team came together.
Yeah.
I thought they looked pretty solid.
Yeah, it kind of really did look like that Dignitas was the roster that had been together, and that C9 was the newly formed roster coming in and challenging them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's obviously the complete opposite. But I lose a little bit of faith in Cloud9 every day, and I hate that because they're my team. But I can't keep defending them, man. They just like TL and FlyQuest look so much better than they do. 100 Thieves looked clean as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100 Thieves looked really good.
I'm worried about Cloud9 making Worlds. I'm worried about Cloud9 making finals.
See, that's the thing with best of 3s that we kind of got to get used to, though, at least in the LCS. Like, when you go over to Korea, you go to LCK, you go to LPL, they've been always playing best of 3s. Like, it's not uncommon for, you know, a bad team to take a game off a really good team, even. Like, just this past weekend, Hanwha Life dropped a game to DRX, right? And DRX is... They're looking like they should be in the bottom 3, for sure. Yeah. And the fact that they took a game off Hanwha, which is like everyone's projecting them to be top 3, right? That's something that we kind of got to get used to, at least in the LCS. Like, just because Dig takes one game off C9 doesn't mean C9's not a good team. Doesn't mean like, oh, we should be, you know, throwing in the towel yet for C9, right?
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where you expect C9 to just be 2-0ing everybody. But that's why having best of 3s is so good for the league. Like, we actually get to see that series get played out. Like, you know, same thing with the TL FlyQuest series. We get to see a banger matchup get played out to 3 games.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing. Like, even when we had best of 1s, top teams would just straight up lose a game to bottom teams, like, all the time. Like, I think Cloud9 lost 2 games to Immortals last split or something like
Yeah.
that. So it's like that happens, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I just like when I look at Cloud9 playing Dig, I'm not like confident in their ability to win that series, you
Mm.
know. And I don't even think Dig is that bad. I'm with you. I actually like this Dig team,
Yeah.
and like I said last week, I actually want this Dig team to do well. I'd be
Hmm.
happy if they were contending for a spot at Worlds. Like that'd be sick.
Yeah.
So I'm not even like upset at the fact that Dig was competing with them, except for I feel like the C9 team should be so much more dominant than they are, you know?
Mm. Yeah. I
Um,
think like Thanatos just needs a little bit of time in the LCS, right? We saw it with Quid last
yeah,
year. Um, it's just an adjustment period. Like the fact that he's already speaking some English is a really good sign because that's
true.
like, that's one of the biggest barriers for any import coming into LCS, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just give it some time. We got 8 more weeks or what, 7 more weeks of LCS to go on, right?
What, yeah,
Or
they play
six more,
6 more weeks?
6 more weeks.
Pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of quick.
Yeah. Down to 8 games.
But regardless, we'll at least get to see every single matchup. And I think right now, as it is, I think Immortals actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And they didn't even make any changes, right?
No, you're
Except
right.
for
They
their,
didn't.
I think their coach. I think the coach is
Yeah,
the
they
only thing that
brought
they
in
changed.
Enero,
Yeah.
the Chad. I love
Uh
that
huh.
guy.
Yeah. And I
Never
thought,
lets it
I
go.
thought Immortal, yeah, I thought Immortals looked pretty good against Shopify, albeit it was Shopify, right? But
Yeah.
I was expecting that to be like a close series, but the 2-0, that's a really good
Pretty
start for them. And then,
dominant 2-0 too. Like not a super
yeah,
close 2-0.
yeah, exactly. That was the part that surprised me a lot more too, is just the fact that it wasn't as close as I thought it was going to be. Like you go into these projected bottom teams, right?
Bottom.
Like let's not sugarcoat it at all. Like no one's really
Sure.
expecting IMT or Shopify to make worlds, right? But
Yeah.
IMT looked pretty solid. I thought they looked like they could be a top 4 team.
What are the chances that all IMT needed to be a good team was to have best of threes? What if we come into best of threes and they've just been dropping fluke games for like 6 years now?
Yeah, imagine.
What if all they need is best of threes and all of a sudden they just become the best team in the LCS?
That'd be that'd be crazy, but I could actually see that shit happening, dude. Like all you need is a format change and like teams just completely fold. Like LPL, for
Yeah.
example, teams are folding left and right just because of
Well,
the new format.
what is happening with anyone's legend, bro?
Dude, AL looks sick.
I've
Well,
seen
okay,
people
they don't
put
look
them
like
as like a
sick.
but like I've seen people rate them as like a top 4 team in the LPL right now.
See, this goes back to our conversation last week with the groups, but they're
Yeah,
like they're first in their group, right? And their group is they're in the NIP and Weibo group,
right.
right? No one was really expecting AL to make it out of that group, right?
Yeah,
Um, but I don't know, something about the new format. Maybe this fearless draft is what they needed. Maybe it just sucks for Weibo. Maybe like and Nip too. I don't know what's going on,
maybe
but
they're just all washed.
maybe they are all just washed. Maybe that group D should just all get dropped to LDL.
Oh, they yeah. What if LPL started doing that? They just the worst performing group just gets dropped. Just gets dropped to LBL.
That'd be
That'd be some real
crazy.
stakes.
You just see BLG get dropped down because every other team in their division is like
Yeah,
sucks.
the rest of the teams do so bad that the rating champs just go LDL.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, these format changes are kind of crazy. I mean, who knows what we're going to see. I'm glad that 100 Thieves 2-0'd as well
They
cuz,
looked good.
they did look good. And they're one of those teams where everyone was like, "Oh, they're just frauds."
Yeah.
They're the team I going into this that I thought would have the hardest time adjusting to
Mhm.
best of threes. But I think it's going to make them a lot stronger because that's one area where they lacked experience come playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this might just power them up for playoffs because you're right.
right?
They were regular season merchants as well, and then just completely busted out in playoffs. But
Yeah.
now they get best of series the whole year. I mean, the whole split. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Quid, man, player of the week. That
Dude,
guy's nasty. Do you
his
see his
Ezreal mid
Ezreal
was
mid?
disgusting, bro. Disgusting.
Holy
Holy shit. Yeah.
dude,
That
I've
guy
never
was,
seen an Ezreal mid in the LCS like that.
yeah. I feel like he's LCK level, right? And
Yeah,
he's just smurfing in LCS right now. Like, there's been a few guys that have come from LCK over to LCS, right? But they don't smurf as hard as this guy has been. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's so interesting too because he came from the Challenger League, right?
Hmm.
And he wasn't even an import from like a top team, which happens sometimes.
Yeah.
He's like Berserker, right?
Yeah.
Like both of them came over from the Challenger leagues and are smurfing on the league.
Hmm.
I mean, Berserker's performance has kind of been up and down recently, but when Berserker came in, he was like instantly the best. Like some people are saying the best player in the league, and now
Yeah.
Quid is doing the same thing. That guy is actually just an anomaly. Like he's actually just insane player. Check him
Yeah.
PC. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I'm so excited for this 100 Thieves team, if I'm being honest, just because obviously they have Quid, and I really like Quid.
Yeah,
Um, but the rest of their players always fall into place, and they always kind of take a step up. I was watching one of their 100 Thieves vlogs, and Ayla's going to be taking more of like a shot calling role, which I think will be really good for them
there you
because
go.
it was mainly River before. Um, I'm just excited to see how those guys are going to do. I'm excited to see how all of the LCS is really going to do with the new format.
Yeah,
Um, like the types of matchups that we got next week. Like we get to see how IMT actually is because they got C9. We get to see 100 Thieves versus Dig. You know, we get to see if NRG is actually bad because they
terrible.
play against FlyQuest. And we get the same test for Shopify because they got Team Liquid. So,
I feel like every matchup is so good. I mean, I know we're down to like 8 teams, but
mhm.
I don't know. It just every matchup, there's something interesting now. You know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Speaking of format changes, we got to
Yeah,
talk about the changes that Riot announced literally the day after our podcast was recorded, which is
dude, I
just
feel like
like
this happens every time.
perfect timing, you know. I'm sure most of you guys already know what's going to happen, or like you guys have all seen the announcement that Riot has made, where, you know, instead of 4 regions now, we're going to 5 regions, right? LCS is going to combine with CBLOL, and then LLA is going to sneak their way in there along with like the NACL.
Mhm.
They're combining all the VCS, LJL, PCS into one division, and they're calling that the APAC. Kind of similar to Valorant, where they have like the Asia Pacific region.
Right.
And from now on, it's going to be 5 regions. Basically, is what it's set up to be for 2025. There's going to be 3 internationals. There's going to be 3 splits each region. Each region is also fearless, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I
Yeah,
recall. Yeah.
but yeah, like for those of you
Yeah.
that don't know, that's the biggest thing. We're moving from 4 major regions to 5 major regions, and there's going to be an added extra international tournament and an extra split for all regions except for LEC, which already had the 3 split format, right? And then the
So
fearless for everyone.
what's your gut instinct on this? Like, how do you feel about these changes? Just like before we see them actually play out, what's your gut call?
I think it's going to be interesting. I know there's a lot of backlash from the CBLOL community because of the environment and atmosphere that they've already built up. Like they've kind of built it up from the ground, like built it from the ground up out there
Yeah.
in Brazil. And I know a lot of people were kind of annoyed that they're going to be put into like an America's region combined with the LCS. So the way that they're doing that is there's going to be like a North American and a South American
Yeah,
region.
it's like a North Conference and a South Conference, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they combine come playoff time, and then the winners. So it's basically like a 16 team division, I think, because LCS is
Yeah.
moving down to 6, and then
Dang.
it's like
Oh,
one
no, you're right.
LLA,
6. You're right. You're right.
yeah, and then one LLA, and then one call up team, and then
Yeah.
same thing for CB LOL. Um, like in terms of stuff like that, I'm curious because obviously there's already an ecosystem within the LCS that's been working, right? And it's something that I think a lot of the people within LCS have been trying to build up. Um, but I think it could also increase the competition, increase like the viewership in the North American, South American regions. I know South America does a great job with their viewership.
Yeah.
At least in Brazil, for sure, they do a really good job. But I'm curious to see how having one or two teams from these combined regions now, or this singular combined region, how that's going to play into the competition levels and revenues, things like that. There's a lot of other factors that you have to consider. Um, like, is LCS still going to be as profitable now that it's combined with like an LLA team and a NACL team or like a call up team? Like, how is that going to
Yeah.
turn out? Um, those are my only worries for like the Americas region, I guess is what we'll call it. I
Yeah.
think all the other regions are going to be just fine. I'm curious to see how Fearless is going to play into like the LCK. If there's any place where you're going to be trying something new, that's like the last place you want to be doing it because you already have something that's built up and established that's been working for so long.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's one of those things where you don't really know until you see it. It's like we're still seeing how Fearless Draft is in LPL, right? Um, so I don't know. I think it's good that they're combining APAC or creating the APAC region, uh,
Yeah.
just because of all the stuff that happened in the VCS. I think it'll be
Right.
cool to see like PCS versus VCS, and then you also have some LJL teams, right, that are pretty good. Let all those guys be in a singular region. It's worked out really well for Valorant. Like the APAC region is by far one of the strongest regions in Valorant because they bring in like Singapore, Vietnam, Korea.
Wow.
I think Japan is mixed into that as well because there's like a whole like the way that they do it is they have like their version of LPL, and then they have APAC and LCK would be included in the APAC
Oh,
teams.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have their own Chinese region and then they have APAC. So I'm curious to see how APAC as its own standalone region is going to work out for League of Legends. But in Valorant, it's worked out really well, and some of the best teams come from the APAC region. So hopefully we can see that level of competitiveness. And it does always feel like it's one or two teams per league in those leagues, right? Like the VCS, PCS, right?
Yeah.
It'll be nice to have at least a top four, top five that's constantly competing for those worlds or like those international spots, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think for the LCK, the LPL, and the LEC, things are going to go pretty much unchanged except for Fearless,
mhm.
just in terms of like the structure.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm really curious to see how things play out for APAC, like what you're saying.
Uh huh.
I don't know that I'm like educated enough on all of those regions that are being combined to know how it's going to turn out.
Hmm.
But I'm with you that there seems to be strong teams from each region, and it'll be really interesting to see them all face off against each other in a playoffs format. Um, who knows? Maybe that'll drive viewership from other regions as well. Other
Hmm.
regions wanting to see a more combined. I mean, it centralizes it, right? So it's like
Yeah.
if you're a more casual fan, or if you're someone who doesn't usually watch the minor regions, all of a sudden when it's more centralized, it makes it easier to watch.
Hmm.
So maybe it'll drive up viewership for that as well. And then obviously the big one being the Americas with the North and South conferences.
Hmm.
Um, for the LCS going down to 6 teams, it's like I think it's probably fine, honestly. I mean, from like what people seem to care about a lot in the LCS is being competitive.
Hmm.
Um, and there's only a few teams that have really big brands. So what I'm expecting when we go down to 6 teams is that Riot will probably offer a buyout again, like they did for Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses. And
Hmm.
so some teams will just choose to leave, and then if they can't get people to choose, I don't know exactly how it's going to work. They're going to have to kick teams for something.
Yeah.
but we're going to condense down to 6 teams. I think uh, hopefully that means we'll have good like brand representation from those 6 teams. And
Hmm.
then people have been asking for a promotion relegation slot for a long time. So it's another thing where it's like fans are asking, they're putting it up, and now it's on us to like show up, and hopefully it's actually a good thing and people care about it and want to watch it.
Yeah.
And then the big hit for Brazil, obviously, is that they have 10 teams that all have pretty similar viewership, and they're
Hmm.
going to have to lose 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they're pretty upset. And then for LLA, it's like from what
Their
I've
whole
heard,
league is just,
yeah, it's blowing up the league. But from a
yeah.
competitive standpoint as well, LLA teams will routinely lose to NA Academy teams
Mm.
in scrims, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like, how does that work from a
How are
competitive
they?
standpoint?
Yeah, like how are they going to just slot into like LCS level, right?
Yeah,
Because even though like in some people's heads there might not be that big of a gap, there's a pretty big gap between LLA and LCS.
I think so. That's the LLA is one of the regions where I kind of expect that NA will never like lose to them at an
Mm.
international.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe it'll level them up. Maybe they'll actually get that contend with the rest of the teams in the conference. Maybe they won't. But yeah, NA the whole not just NA the whole Americas conference and the APAC conference are going to be really interesting to watch next
Hmm.
year.
What I'm most
These
curious about,
you
honestly,
go.
is the fact that there's going to be, the first international of the year next year. It's only 5 teams. It's the winner of each region.
Right.
So I'm curious, like, is the final going to end up being like an LCS team versus a CBLOL team? Is it going to be LCS versus LCS? Like, I'm curious how they're going to play out with all that as well, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously they're in 2 different regions completely.
Right.
Like within the singular Americas region, there's multiple teams in different continents that are playing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to
Definitely will
see
be
like
interesting.
that, and then just how like APAC does as well, like at an international where you're really under a microscope when it's 5 teams making it to an international tournament, right? It's people are expecting the best of the best. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. It'll probably end up being like PSG or something, and then like a
Man,
TL.
PSG looked good at MSI,
I thought they were fine, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset to see more PSG internationally. I feel like that's fun.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm here for it.
100%. I think like it's cool when you combine regions because like, well, it's cool and obviously there's ups and downs, right? But I think it'll be cool like we can turn to, oh my god, an ape, like the way same way where it's like, oh my god, an LCK T1's playing Gen G again, or like LEC, it's like, oh, we got El Clasico, we got Fnatic G2. We might be able to start saying like, oh shoot, like Apac's playing right now, it's PSG versus GAM, like I feel
Yeah,
like,
true.
like I you never really look at it that way, but I think that'd be really cool, and I think it'll be really good for like you said, like centralizing it and bringing up viewership that way.
Yeah. So we don't have to drill home on this any more than we have. But one more quick question on it before we talk about some more of the games.
Uh huh.
Who do you think are the 2 teams in North America that are going to be out next year? Also, crazy how quick this is. They
Yeah.
announce it; it's happening next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a quick turnaround. But who do you think are going to leave?
See, that's tough because like I've seen rumblings of like multitudes of teams leaving.
Yeah,
Right. I think the only ones that are fully committed to league are like C9, TL, and FlyQuest probably.
those would
Maybe
be my.
Shopify too because of how recently they joined the league.
That's kind of my
Um.
top 4 too. I know that like C9 is actually a little more sketch than I would like it to be.
Uh
I
huh.
think it's definitely like TL FlyQuest, probably Shopify third as like most set because they just joined, and
Yeah.
then probably C9 underneath.
Uh huh.
Um, yeah. Who
See,
do you
I've
think is
heard rumblings that like 100 Thieves are gone. I've heard rumblings that Dig is going to be gone. I could see IMT not wanting to be a, those like they're always last, bro,
they're just
unless
bottom
they do
feeders?
something crazy, like,
Yeah.
and then NRG, like those guys dominate Valorant anyway, so it's like like Dignitas, they have a bunch of like crazy Fortnite guys under their roster.
Right.
Um, I don't know anything about IMT. 100 Thieves, obviously, they're really good in Valorant as well. Like they're probably more well known for their Valorant team than their League of Legends team, right? So
Yeah.
I can understand if they want to shift their branding towards Valorant, which, if I'm being honest right now, is like it's the growing region as opposed to League, which is, or not region, but like growing game,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to League, which is, it's been around for a while, right? So I don't know. I'm really curious. I really couldn't give you two teams right off the top of my head. It's really so many factors that play into it. But if I
Yeah.
had to like go with a gut decision, I'd probably say it's like IMT and maybe like NRG would be the two gone.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
100 Thieves is going to do their best to try and stay within the LCS if they can.
I've heard both things as well, like you have, because at some level it does make sense to again consolidate 100 Thieves under like a an FPS kind of brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have like a bunch of FPS teams and then League, right?
Yeah.
And at some level, with the League condensing, it would make sense for 100 Thieves to go, we're going to stick to Valorant, we're going to stick to our FPS games, and we're just going to pull out of League. But I
Mm-hmm.
really hope they don't, especially because of how good they've looked, and I just really like having them in the LCS as a brand. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that 100 Thieves doesn't leave, but I also kind of wouldn't be surprised if they did pull out.
Mm-hmm.
IMT is the one that I'm most unsure about because fans have been calling for this team to have some kind of punishment against them for a while now.
Uh-huh.
Because even with um, the way that the league is now, there initially was supposed to be some punishment from the league for being like a bottom two team for X amount of splits, and
Mm.
they've hit that. So
Oh.
people are like, something should happen to this team. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure they were given an out when EG and Golden Guardians left, and they didn't. So
Yeah.
they recommitted to the league again. So at some level, I'd kind of not be surprised if they continued to stay in the league and if it
Mm-hmm.
was like NRG and Dig that left or something.
Yeah.
But I think it is going to be two of the four of NRG, Dig, 100 Thieves, IMT. And I'm
Yeah.
just really hoping it's not 100 Thieves.
Yeah. Same. Same. I definitely think that the four that are like, I think we can pretty solidly say that TL Fly C9 are going to stay,
I hope so.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
those just seem like the three teams that have committed the most to their League of Legends over the past, you know, 3-4 years, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Shopify, like we were saying, is just a brand new team. I feel like they wouldn't want to just come in and leave,
Right? They wouldn't want
after
to buy a
one.
slot and then sell it right away again. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd probably be selling it at a loss too,
I
like,
would think so.
right?
Unless Riot offers to buy it back at the same price that they
Rate.
bought in or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's too many like behind the scenes things that we have no idea about.
Yeah.
But the fact the at the end of the day, we are losing two teams come next year. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be really interesting to see who comes in. Who knows? Maybe like one of those teams just drops down and becomes one of the relegation teams, like they join NACL. I don't know, but that's even less
Yeah.
profitable.
Yeah. I don't
So
know.
yeah, I don't know. It'll be really interesting. What they might end up doing is the two teams that get dropped maybe just move and become the relegation teams for the first split in
That'd be
each,
interesting.
like 1-1, and then from there they just play relegations.
Man,
But
that would
I don't know.
piss off some CB Lowell fans, huh? If an NA team went down to CB Lowell to be the relegation spot,
Right,
that would
right.
piss off fans
After they lost four
hardcore.
teams.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
League came in and stole one of their, their only relegation spot to start,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that would go over well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're already so pissed. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, rightfully so too, because every game out there, like the ecosystem that they've built up, is really really good for League of Legends, and I
yeah,
think even with like other sports too, or other esports, right? Like their Valorant teams are usually pretty good. Like I know Loud,
Yeah.
Loud is like one of the best Valorant teams, and they have been for a while. Like they've won worlds. Um, so yeah, I think the esports ecosystem out there is really, really good, and so I think it's right for Riot to want to bring them into like a bigger ecosystem, like incorporate them better into the larger ecosystem.
Mm.
Um, hopefully it all works out. Hopefully, like their fans aren't don't stay mad for too long and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think we're in for pretty exciting changes for next year.
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I am excited. I know we're losing a bunch of teams, like we said, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Like
Um,
for, it's one of those one step back, two step forward, hopefully,
yeah.
by the
Hopefully.
end of it. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But talk to me about the LCK and the LPL. Where are we at?
Okay. All right. All right. This is well, the LCK, they obviously started back up last week.
Yeah.
My boys, you already know my boys are going stupid crazy out there.
Dude, KDF are legit.
Yeah, dude, 2-0. So it's funny because I bought a Bull jersey and this guy's been benched, bro. They
He's
brought
gone.
in Leaper.
Yeah, you got a Penta though.
Yeah, Leaper's pretty good. I think
Put some
Leaper
respect on
plays
his name.
yeah, Leaper plays pretty well with I think it's I forget if Ondil or Quantum is playing. I'm pretty sure
I want to say I
it's
saw Ondil in, but
regardless.
yeah.
I'm a Kwandong fan, but I'm not like completely convinced by them. Like I'll be
Oh,
a little
really?
humble, I'll have a little humble pie and I'll say I don't know if I'm actually fully convinced by them, but they look pretty good. Albeit they beat like Bro, I think. But they also
Didn't
beat KT.
yeah? Didn't they beat KT? Yeah.
Yeah. So they beat like a good team and a bad team. I think they play Nongshim tonight. So we'll see how they do against them.
Dude,
But yeah,
honestly, they could
Kwandong's
end
the
up
surpriser.
in the same spot where they are just like the barrier
Sixth.
between yeah, the barrier
Yeah.
between the good teams and the bad teams. It's a
Which
little too early to say, but
yeah,
I hope they're fighting for a top spot.
I hope so too. I really do. And as far as the other teams go, Genji, like they still look really good. They smoked T1, like not even a close match at all.
On
Um,
Father's Day too.
yeah, yeah, pretty fitting, pretty fitting.
Happy Father's Day, Genji.
Yeah. D plus looks pretty solid actually. I've
Right.
always been kind of a Kellen hater. Um, but
Why?
Kellen hasn't looked too bad. They beat Hanwha, so I mean that's already everyone's predicting Han would be top three, and the fact that D plus just comes in and takes a match off them is pretty good. I
Yeah.
think Fear X is going to be more towards the bottom. I think Nongshim is going to be towards the bottom. DRX, Bro.
Yeah.
I think those are your bottom four right now as we look at it. I think KT and Kwandong are actually going to be like the 5-6 teams.
So you're
Um,
telling me that we're going to end up pretty much in exactly the same place as we did last
yeah,
split.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
You're telling me that some of these regions have trends.
yeah, yeah. Basically, just recycling everything that I told you the last time LCK split started.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
Real big surprise. We got Gen G T1 at the top. We got HLE looking to come in there. We got D Plus looking to come in there. KT are a little inconsistent, but we'll probably fight with those top teams. KDF right below them, and then the other teams are at the bottom.
yeah, except KDF's at the top this time with Genji.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, they are
Well,
right now,
well,
but
right
it's
now,
been
yeah,
two series.
yeah, yeah. I'll be convinced if KDF can take one off of T1, Genji, or Hanwha Life. Then I'll actually be convinced.
Like,
But
take a
until that
series, you're saying?
happens, was that
Take a game or take a series?
take a series?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if they can do that, then I'll be like fully on board. Like these guys are legit because obviously KT's very inconsistent, and KT even had a tough series. Their next series, I forgot who they played. They lost to D plus as well.
Yeah.
So KT's actually starting out in an 0-2 hole, but um, yeah, it's more or less the same as always. So
we got to keep an eye out on this Gen G situation and KT. I think I'm really interested to see when KT plays Gen G again, because if I'm not wrong, KT is the only team to take a series off of Gen G this year, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This
that's
whole
true.
year so far.
Yeah, the whole
So,
year, like, yeah, going even into MSI, KT is the only team to win against Gen G in a
so
series.
I want to see when they play each other. I'm probably going to watch that game, that
Hmm.
series, because it probably won't happen again, but it might.
It
Uh,
might.
and also, I'll be interested to see when or if Gen G drops another series. You know,
No, that's true. That's true. They actually play each other tomorrow night. So,
do they really?
yeah,
Oh man.
your
Okay,
wishes have been answered.
I might just have to ruin my sleep schedule for that one.
Actually, tonight D plus also plays T1, which is
That's a
pretty
banger
fire.
too.
Yeah. Either way, I really like how all these teams are looking. I mean, it's more or less exactly what you're expecting from each team. I think Hanwha's gonna, slowly ramp up. I think KT is gonna be like this the whole year. I think
Yeah,
D plus might do one of these,
yeah,
like they're like KT like this, but they're more like this,
yeah, yeah.
it comes in waves. Um, instead of at the snap of a finger.
Right,
Gen G is just
right. Just
T1
kicking
is
it
just
in.
yeah, also here, but Gen G.
Right. Maybe another
Basically,
team.
we're getting
Yeah.
the exact same thing as normal. Um, but keep an eye out for Kwandong
Yeah.
because Kwandong, they're a little freaky, if you know what I'm saying.
We're gonna have to do this every time. We're gonna have to do this every episode now. God, I
See,
hope
I
this
was gonna
ends
wear my
quickly.
Kwandong jersey too, but it has Bull's name on the back. I'm like, I don't want to jinx nothing, Leaper's playing really well.
Yeah. Can we get a jersey check though? Can we get a quick jersey check? What are we
I
looking?
got I got the Carhartt sponsored by Glizzy.
Oh, there you go. The Carhartt
Yeah,
Glizzy shirt. Yeah.
yeah, the
Oh,
Carhartt
that's a banger.
Glizzy
Oh
collab.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a banger. Yeah, we got the. I don't even know how much you can see, but we got the Bigfoot shirt on.
the Bigfoot. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So like the LCK is looking pretty standard, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, LPL, I still don't know what to make of these groups, man. I really don't. Um, but if you want to hear some like standout teams right now,
Please.
it's JDG, it's Top Esports, it's anyone's legend. That's about it. Because BLG, as good as BLG is, they've looked a little shaky, like just the
Surprising.
tiniest bit shaky. Like, but they're still BLG. They're still the best team on paper. So
Right.
it's hard to
It's
count them
just
out.
it's just post MSI slump. It's fine.
Exactly.
Don't worry about
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Don't worry
uh,
about it.
but yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's so many teams to keep track of. RNG is officially eliminated, or like they're officially in the lower bracket. They're the
Already?
first team. Yeah,
Oh
they
my
haven't won a
god.
single game, so they're not looking too hot.
What a crazy fall from grace.
I know. I know.
RNG was just like pretty much slated to win MSI like always. They just like they back to backed it like
They
one
literally
of the
won it 2 years ago.
yeah, one of the best teams in the LPL pretty much always, and
Yeah.
now they're the first team eliminated from upper bracket playoffs.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
That's actually so sad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a lot of pretty like IG is also, they're probably going to be the first one out of Group D. Um, Weibo has not been looking really good either. They actually lost to Ultra Prime, I want to say.
I
Yeah, they
heard
got
Ultra
2-0'd by
Prime
Ultra
is like
Prime.
not bad.
Yeah, see, like anyone's legend was they were nobodies last year, right?
Yeah.
Ultra Prime, they were nobodies last year. They're top two in their division right now, and the three teams below them are NIP, Weibo, and IG. I feel like this is going to be a recurring thing where every week I'm like, yo, what the heck is going on in Group D right now with AL and up at the top, right?
And then pretty
Uh,
much every other group is like more or less going expected. I mean, like we have these teams that are like huge fall from grace, but from last split, they're more or less in expected positions, especially with LNG being bottom
Okay.
two in their group. That makes complete
Okay.
sense to me. So,
All right. All right. Okay. Okay.
so I think every other group is pretty much going completely as expected. I guess LNG not being last kind of surprises me, but um, yeah, pretty much it's Group D, and then the rest are pretty much going as planned. I think.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. Um
Maybe I should just start hate watching LNG. Maybe that's what I should do. Then we can
Well,
talk more
regardless,
about their games.
LNG is gonna finish top 2 in their group, so it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
as
Let me
far
know when
as,
that happens. But
teams that aren't like teams going just as expected as Spring Split, Group A actually, FPX is below EDG, and EDG was in the bottom 3 last year.
okay, true.
Um,
Another
just
team
saying.
with an insane fall from grace. I mean, it was always like EDG, RNG were like at the top,
Yeah,
and
but
now
EDG actually they're top 2 in their group right now.
yeah, but they were bottom three, like you said, last split,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
they're like,
Them and RNG, yeah.
yeah, that's so
We're in the
insane to
bottom.
me.
I know. It's pretty crazy. I mean, like I think FPX is underperforming right now because of what's going on and like that whole situation over there.
The manager's gone
Um
though, right? He's
yeah,
officially left. Yeah,
I think so. And I
God
like
bless it.
Zhao Laohu is playing.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know what the deal is, but maybe FPX turns it around from here, but that's pretty much JDG's group.
Yeah.
Um and then I think LGD is kind of like a surpriser team. They've had some good series. I think they've only they beat RNG and I think they beat WE as well.
And
But
are they the
again,
team that's right above LNG? Is that right? Are they the ones that are?
no, you're
No, they're
thinking of
not.
RA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn. That
Yeah,
sucks, dude.
Vikla is better than Scout right now, apparently. Although LNG they beat RA a couple nights ago. Regardless though, I think we're moving on to like the playoffs, to like the upper and lower brackets pretty soon here, actually.
Yeah. How does that work? How many? It's double round robin in the groups, right? So
Yeah,
it
and
should
then
be
it's
six series. Each team plays six series, except for Group D, which they should have eight.
I think so. And
Yeah, so they're
so
getting
it's
close.
yeah, yeah. I mean, most of the groups are done through 4 games
Yeah.
at least. Um, but yeah, it's a 9-8 split, so it'll be really interesting to see who makes it out and who doesn't. Um,
Early predictions. Do you have it pretty much turning out the way that it is now with LNG going over RA?
RA, yeah, and I think LNG or LGD actually makes it over WE
Really?
because somehow LGD. I actually tuned into their series last night against RNG. They like I don't know, they're kind of sneaky. So I'm just going
Sneaky
with my
bad.
gut. I'm going with my gut. And then
Okay.
I think FPX probably comes out of that group, but I wouldn't be
Oh, really?
surprised if EDG, stays consistent as they
And
are.
then what about Group D? Does Ultra Prime stay over Nip and Weibo, or do they lose their next couple games and then Nip and Weibo move up?
That whole group's so weird because every team has like beaten each other, kind of. Like
Right.
we're like there's no undefeated teams. Like AL lost to Weibo, but Weibo lost to Up, but Up lost to Nip, and I don't know who Nip lost to, and maybe Nip
IG,
lost to
maybe?
IG, and
Yeah.
then it's just like a cycle, kind of like that. So it's that one's a little more interesting. But I think AL is the team that makes it out for sure.
Oh,
One of the teams. I think it's gonna be AL, and then it's really
they get
just
they get
close your
tougher with
eyes
that
and
group,
pick
right?
pick one of those. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Close your eyes and just throw a dart.
Yeah, and it's gonna be one of them. But I think we can count out IG because IG has not looked really good.
Okay.
Weibo hasn't looked good either, if I'm being honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was AL up and Nip coming
Wow.
out of that group.
That's
But
also crazy.
yeah, it's there's so much going on. I forgot how much League of Legends this is when all four leagues are going.
There's so many games all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
It's
it's kind of
constant.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally no days off of League of Legends.
No.
But
Remember when we were
yeah, I'm gonna
both
start.
trying to watch like everything right at the start? Like when we
Yeah,
first started doing the podcast, we were trying to watch like all the games. That was insane.
crazy.
It
Yeah,
was yeah.
and we're doing it for a little while. Now I definitely pick and choose which ones I want to tune into.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, with the whole groups thing going on in LPL, I'm still a little curious how it all turns out. Um, Basically 4 rounds of like regular season and playoffs total.
Yeah.
So it's a brand new format. Curious to see how it all turns out, but hopefully it's competitive, and hopefully we get to see some other matchups than these intergroup matchups. And yeah, if I were to pick an early LPL favorite, I might actually just go with JDG, lock it in right now,
Really?
throw the entire house on it. Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. It's just a
So if
gut
JDG
feeling.
lose, you're just homeless.
Pretty much, yeah. I'll shave
Yeah.
my head. I don't
Oh.
even.
Do we
No,
have
I won't.
to do we have to ask someone about that? Do we have to do we have to double check on that one, or do we just lock
Yeah.
that in right now?
You know what? Maybe we won't lock it in right now, but if it
All
does
right.
happen, then I will be bragging to your face for
Okay. Well,
weeks.
I'll put this on the table. If JDG does win, I'll bet nothing against you. So if they do win, I won't shave my head, and
Sound
um,
yeah.
yeah. So I'll put that up against you potentially shaving your head.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. Sounds really fair, actually.
Yeah, balanced, I
Yeah.
think. Right.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Just like Kasante.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Skinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chovy,
um.
just in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Chovy's so balanced, bro. That
Super
guy's.
balanced.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have anything else. As far as the LPL and LCK, just kind
Yeah.
of like a weekly check in. It's definitely harder to watch so many games right as they're going on,
Yeah.
but it's nice to give you and our listeners just a little check in, a little
Yeah.
checkup, a little
Little
update
checkup,
here and
check in.
there, just seeing how all the groups are going. But for
Yeah.
the most part, it's all top heavy, and I think that's how all regions kind of are.
Yeah.
It's just different players every time. So
Cool.
yeah, we'll see. We'll
Well,
see how everything plays out. We're still really early, so
yeah. I'm so excited to watch some more LCS though. This best of three thing
I
is
know.
actually the best.
I
It's so
really
fun.
like it. I'm so glad
Yeah.
that they made the change, and I think that's something that we've brought up in the past. So many people have been wanting it for so long, so I'm
Yeah.
glad that they finally switched to it, and I think it's a really good change so
It
far.
just feels so much more legit, you know? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're not like fluking wins. Like you can't make the fluke argument when you're in a best of three. It's like you have to actually put up. Like you have to actually win. It's not just like we got a good early game against them or something, and just we're able to fluke a game out against them. You can't even like really
Mm-hmm.
make that argument anymore. If the standings
Yeah.
end up in a way, it's because that's like how they're supposed to be, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
just like
Now it's
so
like,
much
oh, we're
more.
game up.
Yeah, it's
Right,
just so much more
it's not like, oh,
consistent.
we have the early game, let's close it out. Now it's, oh, we have a game on them, let's close out the series, which it's a completely different mindset,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that they're implementing that for these players come international time. I think it's gonna be a really good change for that, and I think just for viewership it's so much better.
Yeah.
So
And now LCS is winning worlds. So, you know,
you heard it
we
here
have
first. Jack said
we
he'll
have
shave his head if LCS wins worlds.
I'm never talking to you again. Okay. Yeah, that's all I got. You want to call it there?
Alrighty, yeah, well,
Alrighty.
thanks for listening to All Chat, guys. as always, we're the only League of Legends podcast covering all four major regions, made by the fans for the fans. Um, we're on every single social media site except for Snapchat, which we sometimes say that we're on
But we're not.
accidentally. No Snapchat, no Snapchat, but
No.
we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok. Our TikTok's a little. We're working on it. We're working on it.
It's
But
coming
Instagram.
back this week. I'm committing right here. This is all
All
on
right.
me. This has been my bad. It's coming back this week. So all platforms, coming back in a big way this week.
Oh yeah. And if you want to listen to our podcast, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything that you could listen to a podcast on, we should be on there. But yeah, as always, all chats by the fans for the fans, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
You're gonna call it there? Just kidding.